Welcome, and thank you for volunteering to be a judge for Team Policy Debate. Your investment of time during this debate is crucial to the educational experience of our students who are learning to be better communicators, sharper thinkers, and future leaders. We could not do this without your help. If you've not judged before, you may be wondering whether you're qualified to judge a Team Policy Debate round. You may never have even watched a debate round, but that's okay. You are qualified to judge, and hopefully this short training will give you greater confidence to be an effective judge. Because you already participate in some communication activities, you're ready to judge. So let's start with a couple of main thoughts. First, it is the speaker's job to communicate with you. They should guide you along in the process. It's not your job to be a debate expert. We want the students to be able to speak to the thinking man and woman on the street. So you will evaluate the debate on this basis. So what is a debate? Well, as you may have guessed, debate involves two opposing teams that argue an idea. In team policy debate, this idea is referred to as the resolution. There are two teams, the affirmative team who upholds the resolution, and the negative team whose job it is to refute the affirmative team. Sometimes shorthand of AF for affirmative or neg for negative is used. During the tournament, the debaters will alternate sides based on pairings, brackets, or even a coin toss. They don't know what side they're going to argue until shortly before the debate round. That obviously makes the rounds challenging and interesting. During the question and answer time, we'll introduce you to this year's resolution that will be debated during this tournament. Your role as a judge is to listen to the debate, decide which team best supports the position through evidence and logical argument, then cast a vote for the affirmative team to uphold the resolution, or cast a vote for the negative team against the resolution. And lastly, you will provide written feedback. As part of the feedback, you will be grading the speakers and assigning speaker points and ranking the speakers. I'll cover this in greater detail in a moment. One thing we ask you not to do is to request or accept any written materials offered by the debaters before or during the rounds. After the round, you may need to ask for some specific evidence that was raised during a round to resolve an evidence dispute, but don't take any materials with you from the debate. You should silently listen to the debate rounds without making any comments or asking any questions. Before starting a speech, the debaters may ask you if you're ready for them to begin in case you're still writing. Debate speeches are limited by time, so don't extend the debater's time. A timer will be in the room with you, and they will let the debaters know when their time is up. The debaters also have responsibilities. They are responsible to make their ideas and arguments clear to you as a judge. This includes communicating their debate theory, organizing the round, and providing you with the necessary details about their topic. If you judge more than one round in this tournament, you'll need to make sure that you don't judge the same debaters twice. The volunteers at the ballot push table should check this with you. You also don't want to judge anyone you know, or at least not know well, so that you will not give the appearance of bias or favoritism. The staff in your training room will give you the location and start of the debate round you will judge. You will need to find out where your debate room is and go to your room at the assigned time. Your ballot should have the names of your debaters already filled in. If not, you'll need to write their names on the ballot as well as your own. Ask the staff if you need any help on this. During the preliminary rounds, there's usually only one judge per round. In later elimination rounds, there'll be 3 or more judges, but always an odd number. You should have a timekeeper who will sit next to you in the room and not only time the rounds, but they'll indicate the times to the debaters in a countdown fashion. If not, most debaters are able to time the round themselves. You can expect the debaters to introduce themselves to you, shake your hand, and tell you what speaker number they are. They may also ask you, what is your judging philosophy? Judges who have more experience sometimes have specific things they look for in rounds, such as the use of credible evidence, use of logic and reasoning. If you don't have a judging philosophy, that is fine. The debaters will still know what to do. On your ballot, you will see the 4 names of your debaters. They should specify whether they are affirmative or negative and the speaker order. If not, they will let you know the order, and you'll be able to tell by the order in which they speak. 1A is the first affirmative constructive speech given by the first speaker. 1N is the first negative constructive, and so on through the rebuttal speeches. As you can see on this slide, this is how the round will go. There are 4 constructive speeches and 4 rebuttal speeches, and there's cross-examination after each constructive speech. So after the first affirmative constructive, there's a 3-minute cross-examination of the first affirmative speaker, and so on. Each debater will give 2 speeches and conduct 1 cross-examination. The 1AC, or first affirmative speech, will introduce you to the resolution and the particular case of the affirmative team. It can be organized in different ways, but you can see on this slide how it is commonly structured. You will hear some terms like criteria, harms, mandates, and disadvantages, which will come up often during the rounds. After each constructive speech, the speaker will be cross-examined for 3 minutes by the opposing team. This is the only direct interaction the debaters will have. Now, it may seem a little strange at first, but the debaters will face you during cross-examination instead of each other, as they're instructed to present their cases to you as the judge rather than to each other. The progression and organization of the debate rounds is referred to as the flow. Flow sheets, which have 8 columns for each speech, are often used by judges to track the debate. You may have been offered a flow sheet at the ballot table. You can also use a notepad or any other method to take notes. The flow sheet is for your use only and is not turned in, but it is useful to track the arguments and evidence presented by the debaters and to track how well the opposing team responds to points and arguments. These notes will also help you determine which team won the round and help you offer feedback and show the reason for your decision. When the round is over, the debaters will ordinarily shake your hand and thank you for judging the round. You should turn your notes over so they cannot see your ballot, and you shouldn't offer any comments or give any feedback at this time, well beyond a smile and maybe a thank you. If you need to see any evidence for clarification or accuracy, you may request it, but you need to return it to the debaters before leaving the room. And by all means, do not disclose your decision as to who won the round. Also, don't ask for comments from observers in the room. Please proceed to the judge's room right away to complete your ballots privately. So as you prepare to go judge, let's go over a few judging issues so you have an idea of what to look for in the rounds. There are 4 main judging issues called stock issues that you will look for. They are topicality. Did the case fit into the resolution? Is it on topic? Significance. Does the case make a significant difference? Is it worthy of deliberation? Inherency. Do we really need the resolution? Is there really a problem? Insolvency. Will the affirmative team's plan work? The corollary to this is, will the affirmative team plan actually cause problems? The burden to make their case clear is on the debaters. If something doesn't make sense, then consider that in your voting. You will sometimes hear the debaters present these 4 stock issues plus the term net benefits as a criteria for the judging. Net benefits is actually another term for the stock issue of significance. So the team that wins the significance issue also wins the net benefits issue, and vice versa. The burden of proof is on the affirmative team to prove the resolution and justify their plan. If the negative team wins on even 1 stock issue, then the negative team wins. Because the affirmative team has the burden of proof, they get the first and last word in the round. The negative team has a negative block where they go from their second constructive to their first rebuttal speech. To fill out your ballot, you will make 2 independent decisions. First, you'll vote to uphold the resolution, that is, vote for the affirmative team, or not, voting for the negative team. And secondly, you'll reward individual speaker ability. It is very important in these rounds that you set aside your personal biases and opinions on the resolution. You are judging the ability of the students to organize and present arguments, use evidence, rebut assertions, and make logical connections. You may personally agree or disagree with the underlying case, but you need to evaluate the rounds as objectively as you can. Remember, the teams may take an unpopular position around and may not have a choice. You are to leave your personal opinions and biases at the door and judge the round only on the strength and quality of each team's arguments and evidence. Here's what the student ballot looks like. At the bottom, you will circle affirmative or negative for the winner of the round. You'll also see a space for double loss, which is rarely used and only in instances where there's been a serious misconduct by both teams, which deserves this disciplinary result. You can also see that there's a box for each speaker where you can write comments, offer feedback, and score their presentations and rank the speakers. To determine speaker ranks, use your speaker point guideline to help you determine how each speaker is debated. You will also fill out a speed ballot that simply has your vote, AF or neg, speaker points, and the speaker ranks. This is turned in right away so that the ballot tabulation team can determine pairings for the next round. To determine speaker ranks, you will add up the speaker points for each speaker in 6 different categories and rank in order of who gets the most total points. Each category can receive 1 to 5 points, so there is a maximum of 30 speaker points available. If you have a tie, break the tie by simply choosing between the speakers and ranking them in the order you deem appropriate. Because the speaker points are independent from who wins the round, it is possible to have a low-ranked speaker win the round. Finally, you will provide written feedback to the debaters to explain the reason for your decision. You can write on the back of the ballot if you need more space. Remember, you need to set aside your biases and personal opinions. Judge the round based on the criteria we previously discussed and based only upon the evidence and arguments presented during the rounds. The debaters do not get to choose their side. Don't hold them personally responsible for the side they must argue, even if it may be an unpopular position to take. In other words, don't become a third debate team in the room. And don't fill in their arguments with your own knowledge or opinions. However, if you hear arguments that you don't think are persuasive, or you have some insights on how they might present their case differently, you should feel free to share those thoughts. The debaters greatly appreciate constructive feedback that will help them become better debaters. The feedback is extremely important to help the debaters learn how to improve their skills. So please offer as much constructive feedback as you can. And positive feedback is always appreciated. Once you've completed the ballot, please turn them in and do not discuss your vote with anyone, especially the debaters or debaters' parents. So thank you again for volunteering to judge. We'll now take a few minutes to answer any questions you might have.